Hey guys, 7thAce here, and whoops, let's play. And today I've got, god dang it, play already. Okay, today we've got a one-on-one on Steps of War, I think is what it's called. Correct me if I'm wrong, but uh, it's one-on-one against a Terran player, most likely. No, it's Zerg. It's Zerg. It's a Zerg on Zerg battle, which is pretty rare for me. I rarely see Zerg battles. For some reason, everyone likes the Protoss because they're noob friendly, or the Terran because you already know them from the campaign. So it makes the people who play Zerg like few and far between. So I've decided to do a little beginners video. There are a million something people on BattleNet at any given time, or at least 750,000 on BattleNet at any given time. So he stole my minerals. I laugh. And there's only 30,000 people a day on StarCraft 1, or was. So not all these people are pros of or even know the game of StarCraft 1. They just got StarCraft 2 because that's the game, just like everyone did with Modern Warfare 2. So this is just to all the beginners who just got the game, and I'm just going to give you a main rundown of what you need to focus on during this game. First thing is your builders, or your workers. If you're playing as any race, you want to make sure you have plenty of workers mining the minerals. Look at my minerals right here, and then compare that to yours during a game and see just how many you have. If you have mineral patches that aren't being harvested, you need to build more workers. That's first thing. Just you always have to build workers. You can check this as Zerg or Protoss, or Terran or Protoss, sorry, by just clicking on your Nexus or Command Center in a replay and just watching it. If you stop building within like the first 5 to 10 minutes or something like that is what I've heard, then you need to keep building them. 3 workers per gas mine and 2 workers per mineral patch is the best you can do. Is that a little lag? Whatever. Second tip for all you Zerg players is to use queens. Queens are your specialty units in this game. They allow you to spawn more larvae, which in turn allows you to build more units. StarCraft 1 was plagued by requiring a lot of larvae to build stuff, which required more hatcheries, and those costed a lot of minerals, so Zerg had a slight disadvantage. So you want to make sure you constantly keep your queen spawning larvae, just like right there. Next tip, make sure to always be building, doing something. Whether it's exploring with a handful of Zergling, or trying to tech up, or just don't let your mouse pointer sit idle too often. I mean, there'll be times at the beginning of the game where there's not a ton to do while you wait for an overlord to build or a depot. But you just got to make sure you stay looking around, always keeping the mouse pointer busy, because it really helps. Next tip, don't build too much static defense. Static defense is considered the spine crawlers, the cannons, or bunkers. To an extent, bunkers aren't quite as much. They are static because they can't move or have limited mobility in the spine crawlers case, as the spine crawlers can get up and walk slowly across no creep to a new location. If you invest too much, there's the movement. If you invest too much in static defense, you're going to have not enough money for an army, which leads me to my next point. Dang it, keep your mineral count low. If you keep your mineral count low, that means you are building and spending all your resources. If you have 1,500 minerals when you died, think of how much army that could give you. That could give you 15 hydralisks or 30 marines or something like that, or 60 zergling, and ask yourself if that would have made the difference. If so, then I suggest trying to build more during the game. Now, don't get this confused with not having enough workers on minerals and gas. If you don't have enough workers, then you're going to always be low, and that's not really what you want. The whole point is have a lot of bases without just hoarding resources, but don't have no workers and think, well, I'm good because I have no minerals. It's always good to keep a little bit of a stash, but I recommend, at least for the first 10 to 15 minutes of the game, try not to get over 500 or so unless you're waiting for something to build, and as soon as you do that, you would build a bunch of stuff. Next thing is scouting. Now, I am no master of scouting. I definitely need to work on this, but make sure to keep tabs on your opponents and their bases, because if they can expand without you knowing, you're going to be at a big disadvantage if you haven't expanded, and I'll talk about expanding next. But just send over a zergling or a handful of marines, nothing that would cost you too much. But see what you can find out, because if you know their army, like he has a bunch of zergling, I could build roaches or hydralis and eat them all for breakfast, because roaches are a good counter to zergling, so I've heard. And yes, countering is pretty important. I can't say it's the most important, but it makes sure your opponent's units can't just destroy yours. You can be down in value of an army and win a fight due to counters and micro, which is short for micromanaging all your units, which is how you fight them in a single battle, whether you move weak units to the back or whatever, or stuff like that. In a bigger battle, that really does make a difference. In the medium-sized battles, just pulling a unit with 20 health back, so all the opponent units start attacking other things and giving it time to reheal, or even if it can't reheal, it'll just it won't take any fire, and it's just more firepower for your team. Expanding, I've seen a lot of people not expand, and I find that to be a problem, because expanding increases your mineral output. What is that? Expanding increases your mineral output, which gives you a bigger army faster. The earlier you expand, the more risky it is, but if it actually works, if you're able to expand early, that pretty much is a good key. If you can take a second expansion early and defend it. Next point. Before I go, I'll mention my next point and go back real quick. Use your special abilities. Right here, 4 Mutalisk, 2 Queens. His army outnumbers me in value at 800 resources, 400, and mine costs 300 total. But I'm using their abilities, Shooting Air and Transfusion, which heals each other, for just 50 minerals and gas. Or, no, not 50 minerals. 50 energy. And allows you a pair of queens to stay alive for a very long time. And speaking of special abilities, I just burrowed and moved under his entire base and am completely destroying his workers before he knows what's going on. Next thing to think about is multitasking. With multitasking, you need to be able to manage an attack and be able to keep rebuilding your base at the same time. Like I'm doing right here. I'm burrowing my roaches and then going back and building overlords, making sure everything at my base is working well. And when I see there's an alert, I go back to my roaches. The next thing, I think I remember it. Actions per minute. A lot of people think actions per minute makes you a good player. This is not true. You can win a game without having a ridiculously high actions per minute. Contrary to what a lot of people will tell you. I average in this game 72 to 75. For some reason, that has been my exact constant. It has not changed. In StarCraft 1, I slowly got better. Here, quick note, micromanaging. He's trying to kill my hatchery in like a little cheese, and I bring in my Hydras and I will eventually destroy his units, because I see him going back. And then I split him off into two groups, one to guard against my main and one to guard the expansion. So now his Mutalisks can only run because these Hydralisks eat Mutalisks for breakfast. Multitasking real quick. Actions per minute. It isn't everything. A lot of people will say that if you have a higher actions per minute, you'll win more. And that's kind of true. You can see this guy's playing at 32 actions a minute. But I think people over-exaggerate its importance. You're not going to win as many games if you play 30 actions per minute as if you played 100 actions per minute, because you're getting more stuff done. But at the same time, the difference between 105 and 110 isn't much, or 60 and 70. I mean, it's just not everything that people think it is. So the final thing is, I don't know, I think that's about it. There's some more micro, so it's everywhere, just in smaller amounts, just whether it's retreating with your faster units, faster ranged units, so you walk back fire against their enemy melee units, so they can never get in range, or concentrating fire on the most important things, such as, say, spine callers, which do the most damage out of their army. You'll just want to concentrate on them. Concentrate fire is the biggest form of micro that I can think of, just because if you concentrate fire and they all have each unit attack individually, you will win. It's been proven, because once one of their units dies, that unit it was attacking no longer takes damage, etc., etc. I think that's how it works. I'm not totally positive, but yeah. So I'll do a lot of variety of videos, and if you like this kind of stuff, give it a thumbs up. I guess that's what it is now these days. And I will talk to you guys later. If you want to see more of this soon, subscribe.